Welcome back to the journey of 100 Ice Age facts, Ice Age secrets. In the previous parts, we witnessed hunts filled with strategy, speed, and the raw struggle for survival, from both predator and prey. But today, the story will change entirely. Because the Ice Age wasn't just a place where predators chased their prey fled from hunters, or species battled the brutality of nature. It was also an era of clashes between the true giants of the ancient world. Battles not for food, but for territory, for dominance, for the right to pass on their lineage, and sometimes simply because of the primal instinct to exist. And to begin part 9, imagine you're standing in the middle of a frozen valley as the sun begins to set behind the mountains. In front of you, not one, but 2 male megaloceros are preparing to charge at each other. Their antlers are so wide, they brush against the thin mist drifting in the air. The wind howls. The sky turns red-orange. Hot breaths rise into the bitter cold. And then, they slam into each other with a force like thunder cracking across the valley. The ice beneath your feet trembles. Snow spirals upward. The echo carries all the way to the edge of the forest. This is the world of Part 9, a place where giants battle for the right to exist, where territory means survival, and where the raw power of a frozen earth is clearer than in any other era. 2 male megaloceros step out into the frozen valley. They do not roar, do not run, do not intimidate each other with sound. Their battle begins in silence. Only white breaths rising, only cold wind threading through the pine branches. Then one tilts its head to the left, a clear challenge. The other responds with a sharp jerk of its neck, making its massive antlers vibrate like the blades of a giant windmill. Everything that follows happens in half a second. Antlers nearly 4 meters wide aren't just for show. They are engineered to disperse force block, direct hits lock the opponent in a grapple, push the rival off balance. Each collision can hit as hard as a car crash at low speed. In the Ice Age, food-rich territory meant survival for an entire herd. So this duel is not meant to kill, does not last all day, but is always ferociously intense. The winner passes on strong genes to the next generation. They use their neck muscles like levers. Lowered strikes lift the opponent upward. High strikes press them down, antler twisting, drives into weak spots. And understand this, a megaloceros's neck muscles were several times stronger than those of modern bison. When the antlers lock, they spin across the snowy ground. Hooves digging in ice, cracking faintly, snow falling from the antlers like stardust. One is pushed back nearly 4 meters, slips and collapses sideways, exposing its back. That is the decisive moment. The victor bellows, white breath rising in the icy air, claiming dominance over the land. The defeated one rises, is not chased, and walks slowly into the forest. The battle ends not with death, but with power. This is a duel of colossal natural weapons, of muscles built to withstand impact, of instincts forged for survival and reproduction. The Ice Age was not only a war between predator and prey, it was also a war among giants to determine who deserved to rule the frozen world. Early morning on the frozen steppe, the weak sunlight casts a pale golden glow across countless layers of thick snow. On a flat patch of ground between 2 rocky outcrops, 2 adult male mammoths stand facing each other. They weigh over 6 tons, stand more than 3 meters tall, and carry a pair of curved tusks nearly 4 meters long. Wind blows, snow drifts lightly. The two giants do not move, yet the air feels as tense as a bowstring about to snap. A battle is about to erupt. Not for food, not for territory, not for a path, but for the right to continue their bloodline. During mating season, a mammoth's strength reaches its absolute peak. The mammoths approach each other slowly, each step landing with the weight of a drumbeat echoing across the snow. They lift their heads, swing their tusks slightly, and inhale deeply to measure the size and strength of their opponent. This is a crucial moment of assessment. If one feels too inferior, it will walk away to avoid injury. But today, neither backs down. The mammoth on the right charges first. Not fast, but with all 6 tons of mass driving forward. Their tusks collide. Boom! The sound echoes across the entire steppe. The snow beneath them cracks softly, as though the ground itself is wincing from the impact. The collision is so powerful that snow dust shoots straight upward. The air around them shifts direction. Small birds 50 meters away scatter in panic. They don't just ram each other. They hook their tusks downward, then heave upward using their massive neck muscles. If one gets lifted onto its back, its belly is exposed, the most vulnerable spot. A mammoth's intelligence shows here, landing firmly on its front legs, tilting its head to avoid being hooked at the deadly angle, using its body weight to counter the upward force. One mammoth is lifted half a meter into the air, but manages to twist its head aside in time to avoid a finishing blow. After several minutes, their breaths rise like pillars of white smoke into the frigid air. Moisture condenses on the fur around their faces, forming a thin layer of frost. Each following collision is slower, but stronger, as both channel every last bit of strength. The golden angle is a stance where the head is slightly raised. The tusks slide beneath the opponents, the body weight shifts to the right. From this angle, a mammoth can flip the opponent off balance. And finally, one of them secures that perfect angle. It twists its head sharply, fires its neck muscles, and shifts its whole weight to one side. The other slips, falls sideways, and slams into the snow with a deep, heavy thud. Not seriously injured, but the battle is over. Mammoths are gentle by nature. They do not attack once an opponent has fallen. The victor stands atop a mound of snow, raises its head high, and swings its tusks beneath the sunlight. A low, resonant sound rumbles from its chest, echoing across the steppe. It is a declaration. I am the strongest. I continue the bloodline. The winner gains mating rights, earns respect, receives priority in the best grazing areas. The loser is not killed, but loses the chance to pass on its genes, and sometimes must leave the herd to avoid further conflict. The impact force is strong enough to shake the snow surface. Tusks are strategic weapons, not decorations. Victory determines the next generation. This is a battle of pure strength, instinctive intelligence, and honor. In a frozen world where the cold kills all weakness, giants must fight to prove they deserve to exist. A blizzard is moving in from the north. The wind howls like the call of an abyss. The sky is white. The ground is white. Everything melts together into a space almost without color. In that desolate scene, 2 ancient male bison, nearly half again larger than modern bison, are moving toward each other. Their fur is thick and tangled, covered with patches of melting ice. Their breaths burst from their nostrils in heavy clouds, swept away by the wind like the smoke of a dying fire. They do not roar, do not provoke, do not show off. This battle requires no ceremony. In a storm, even a second of hesitation can let the cold execute the loser before the opponent does. The wind is so strong that at times they must lean sideways to avoid being knocked over. Snow slices across their faces. The ice beneath their hooves is slick as oil. And yet each step toward the opponent feels like a challenge to nature, a challenge to each other, and a challenge to their own limits. Bison cannot see more than 5 meters ahead in the storm, but they can still find one another through scent and the deep, heavy thud of hooves on ice. The two charge, not with great speed, but with 1,200 to 1,500 kilograms of mass in each body, more than enough to create a monstrous impact. Crrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Snow erupts beneath them in a white blast, like frozen fire bursting from the ground. Shards of ice arc through the air. Unlike the hooking, rotating antlers of megaglaciers, a bison's horns are shorter, curved sharply to the sides, extremely dense, deadly when sweeping. In battle, bison use neck muscles to push shoulder muscles, to brace back muscles to drive sideways force. Their horns clash, not only to block blows, but to lock the opponent in a wrestling grip. Under normal conditions, bison can fight without fear of slipping. But in a blizzard, the wind alters their direction of impact, falling snow blinds them. The ice beneath them is slick as glass sound is swallowed by the wind, making the opponent hard to read. Many bison have died not from their rival, but from twisting their neck when slipping during a shove on ice. After a long grapple, one bison suddenly sweeps its horns sideways, using neck strength and a full body twist. This attack is not as powerful as a direct ram, but can knock the opponent off balance and is especially dangerous on slick ice. And indeed, the other bison slips half a step. Only half a step, but in a storm battle, that half step is worth an entire open road for the opponent. One is pushed back, its head forced into the snow, its hind legs sliding hard on the verge of collapsing. If it falls, the fight ends instantly. But at that moment, it summons every bit of strength left, digs its hooves into the ice, and heaves upward, a spray of snow torn from the ground as the wind roars around it. The storm shrieks, either cheering or mocking. No one knows. When the blizzard peaks, the two can barely see each other. They fight by. The pressure felt through each impact, the sound of the opponent's breathing, the trembling of the ice beneath them, pure survival instinct. And then, a final strike, sharp and heavy as the footsteps of time, pushes one bison too far backward. It turns its head, accepting defeat. No one gives chase. In the Ice Age, the winner keeps the territory. The loser keeps its life. The wind and ice turn every ram into a white explosion. The storm makes attack angles unpredictable. A slip of the hoof is a death sentence. The duel takes place in the silence of the storm. No ceremony, no display. In the blizzard, all creatures are small. But the bison still choose to fight for their place in the herd. That is the power of the Ice Age. Night blankets the steppe in a layer of icy stillness. Pale blue moonlight reflects off the snow, casting a soft yet tense illumination across the world. The wolf pack, about 12 strong, stands in a wide circle. No running, no howling, no hunting. They are witnessing one of the most important rituals in wolf society, the challenge for the alpha rank. At the center of the circle stand the old alpha, powerful, seasoned, scarred the young male, fast, daring and burning with ambition. The pack remains silent, as if the entire world is holding its breath. The young wolf moves slowly around the alpha, ears upright, eyes locked on the opponent. It studies the breathing rhythm, the footwork, how weight is distributed, any sign of pain or weakness in the legs. An old alpha may be stronger, but may also carry vulnerabilities that time has carved into the body. The alpha stands tall, no backward steps, no whining, no blinking for too long. It is sending a message. I am the leader. If you want this position, you must pay the price. The pack understands this body language. They step back, giving space for the battle about to unfold. The young wolf charges, not with a direct attack, but low, aiming for the alpha's left shoulder. The shoulder is crucial. It carries balance. It controls the center of gravity. It is vulnerable if old scars remain. The alpha twists right, dodging the first bite, the wind hissing softly through its teeth. It does not have the speed of youth, but the alpha possesses experience, motion-reading instinct, superior neck strength. It snaps at the young wolf's neck, aiming for the spot that could lock its breathing. The young wolf twists away, skidding across the snow to escape the bite. Their bodies spin, leaving faint white arcs under the moonlight. The alpha feints a half step back. The young wolf thinks the alpha is weakening and lunges harder, but it is a trap. The alpha rotates its torso, slamming its head and neck sideways into the younger wolf's ribs. Boom! Snow erupts into a swirling white halo, like a small explosion under the cold wind. The young wolf tumbles several times across the snow. Not badly injured, but the strike hits its center of balance and its confidence. It tries to go for the alpha's hind leg. If the alpha falls, the fight reverses instantly. But the alpha has been waiting for that exact moment. It spins with brutal speed, clamping its jaws on the young wolf's neck, beneath the jaw, avoiding the windpipe. The young wolf freezes. No more resistance. The alpha growls softly, a declaration of victory. Then it releases. In the wolf world, victory does not mean killing. It means forcing submission. The young wolf lowers its head. The alpha turns away. The entire pack bows with it. The battle for dominance ends. Not just strength, but intelligence and strategy, not killing the opponent, but forcing them to accept the hierarchy. The fight unfolds in silence. With only wind and paws sliding across snow, the winner becomes the guide. The loser becomes the learner. Under the moonlight of the Ice Age, power is decided not by roaring, but by the precision of a bite and the unwavering resolve of a leader. Night descended upon the taiga forest in a cold, violet-blue shade. The sun had vanished behind the black tree line. The wind fell upon the land like a swarm of invisible, frozen demons. In that bitter cold, a large stone cave on the hillside was a sanctuary of survival. Inside, it was at least 15 degrees warmer than the outside world. No wind could slip in. Snow did not fully bury the entrance. But tonight, that cave became a battleground. Inside, the cave bear, nearly 900 kilograms, massive like a walking boulder. Outside, a pack of ancient ice hyenas, about 6 of them, fast, enduring, and coordinated like trained warriors. Wind howled through the forest. Snow filled the sky. The battle began. The hyena pack stood about 20 meters from the cave entrance. They did not bark, did not charge, did not create loud noises. Instead, they tapped their claws lightly against the rock, used the echoing sound, determined the size of the cave, guessed the bear's standing position. It was an incredibly intelligent tactic. They needed to know whether the bear stood near the entrance or deeper inside, whether the cave had side pockets or narrow turns, whether there was room to dodge an attack. Hyenas survive by strategy, not just jaw strength. From deep inside the cave came a roar. Growl! The sound burst outward like thunder. Snow along the cave rim fell. The air trembled faintly. It was a warning. This is my territory. Enter if you wish to die. But the hyenas didn't back off. They never won by direct strength. They won by numbers and strategy. 3 moved forward. 3 others split to the sides. This was their formation. Force the bear out of the cave attack from 2 different angles. Force the bear to spin constantly. Strip the bear of its advantage in the narrow space. In nature, hyenas are not just scavengers. They are terrifying ancient hunters when working as a unit. Before they could close in, the cave bear lunged out. And when a nearly 1-ton body charges downhill on 4 legs, snow erupts into clouds. The bear did not attack the hyenas at the cave mouth. It wanted to fight in open space where its power could be fully unleashed. The hyena's only mistake was waking the giant at the very moment it was strongest. The bear swung a paw as wide as a stone shovel, its claws long and sharp as blades. Wham! A hyena was flung nearly 2 meters away. It rolled 3 times across the snow. Had that strike landed clean, it would have died instantly. But Ice Age hyenas were stronger than modern ones. It staggered to its feet, still ready to fight. The cave bear had advantages: power weight, massive teeth, razor claws, but also one major weakness. Its front leg joints carried immense weight and could be destabilized by repeated hits. 2 hyenas lunged at the bear's left leg. One bit, one swept sideways. The bear roared, losing half a step of balance. That was the moment the hyenas had waited for. One brave hyena leapt straight onto the bear's back, aiming for the nape, the place where the spine lay. But the bear rolled sideways, slamming its entire weight into the snow. The hyena on its back was crushed down, falling off, gasping for breath for several seconds. These battles were brutal, no less vicious than fights between Ice Age giants. The bear retreated deeper toward the cave, but did not flee. It chose the most advantageous position, blocking the entrance entirely, allowing only one hyena in at a time, rendering their numbers useless. It stood there, blood on its fur, but unafraid. The hyenas realized they could not drag the bear out. They could not charge in without losing at least 1 to 2 members. Their tactical advantage was gone. They backed away, growling softly before melting into the dark. The cave belonged to the bear. The bear won by position plus strength. The hyenas lost despite strategy. Plus numbers, the cave was a survival resource more important than food. Whoever owned the cave survived the winter. In the Ice Age, the strongest didn't always win. But in the fight for shelter, the one who controlled the cave entrance was the king of the winter night. Noon in the frozen valley. The weak sunlight fell across the frozen lake, where a thin sheet of meltwater had appeared from the geothermal heat below. This was the only liquid water within a 20-kilometer radius. And because of that, it was the center of conflict. Left side of the lake, a herd of 8 mammoths led by an experienced old female. Right side of the lake, a group of male bison moving in a defensive formation. Farther away on the hillside, the heavy stomps of the woolly rhinoceros approaching like a living storm. No one yielded, no one stopped. Because in the Ice Age, whoever controlled the water survived. The mammoths did not attack immediately. Instead, they formed a wide arc, placed the young in the center, pointed their tusks outward, walked slowly but with immense intimidation. This strategy created a moving wall, a formation even predators dared not break. But today, the opponents were other giants, not hunters. Ice Age. Bison, stronger than modern bison. Larger heads, long, curved horns as tough as fossilized wood shoulder muscles, built like stone. When they charged, the thin ice near the lakeshore cracked in spiderweb patterns. That was their declaration. We do not fear the mammoths. A deep echoed from the ridge. The giant woolly rhinoceros appeared, nearly 2.5 tons in weight, a horn over 1 meter long neck muscles, powerful enough to flip a full-grown bison. This creature rarely fought without reason. But for water, everything changed. It descended into the valley with deliberate steps, its eyes locked onto the lake. The air shifted. The mammoths slowed. The bison shifted formation. Everyone prepared for the incoming explosion. A young bison lost patience and rammed straight into the flank of a mammoth on the outer ring. Thud! The impact was strong enough to kick up snow like fireworks. The mammoth didn't fall, but took half a step back, a rare occurrence. The entire mammoth herd tightened formation instantly. Tension erupted. The lead female mammoth stepped forward, swinging her nearly 3-meter tusks. They swept across the snow, drawing a shimmering arc under the sunlight. The strike hit the bison's shoulder, sending it sliding almost a meter and toppling it sideways. The other bison roared, not out of fear, but in challenge. The woolly rhino did not roar, did not bellow, did not run. It walked straight toward the lake, as if no battle were happening. A bison stepped into its path, a fatal mistake. The rhino tilted its head, thrust upward, launching the bison off the ground. Snow exploded like a white shower. Both mammoths and bison realized this was a creature not to be underestimated. 3 giants, 3 species, 3 needs, only one source of water. Mammoths flapped their ears, tusks lowered. Bison stomped, cracking the ice lightly. The rhino lowered its head to charge. Each breath rose in thick white clouds like battlefield smoke. The moments stretched out, as if time itself had frozen. A loud crack rang out. The ice directly between the 3 species split nearly 3 meters long, cold water spraying across their faces. The rhino instinctively stepped back. The mammoths retreated 2 steps to shield their calf. The bison shifted toward the safer shoreline. Nature issued a message. If you continue to clash, the first to die won't fall to a horn, but to collapsing ice. And every creature understood. The battle didn't end, but it paused under the warning of the ice. Each species claimed a section of the lake, separated by a few meters, no longer confronting one another, at least for today. Not the strongest species wins, not the largest herd, not the most aggressive, but the one that knows when to stop before nature punishes them. In the Ice Age, even the giants bowed before the power of ice. The evening wind blew hard from the west, carrying the heavy scent of meat through the freezing air. On the vast sheet of snow, the giant carcass of a mammoth lay silent, its shaggy fur lifted slightly by the passing wind. It was a treasure of the Ice Age. Because if they consumed it all, the wolf pack could survive for several days, or even a full week if they preserved it beneath the ice. But this carcass belonged to no one. And because of that, tonight was a night of war. The pack of about 10 wolves circled around the body. They moved quickly, constantly shifting, ears raised to catch every hint of sound. Wolves never jump in to eat immediately, even if they arrive first. They understand. The smell of blood and meat will draw the most dangerous creatures of the Ice Age within minutes. So they must eat fast, but remain deathly cautious. From the edge of the forest, a massive golden silhouette appeared. The cave lion, larger than an African lion, nearly 400 kilograms in weight. It stepped out of the shadows, its short mane bristling in the cold wind. The wolves immediately widened their formation, creating an open arc downwind to track the lion's movements. The lion did not roar. It walked straight toward the carcass, unafraid of the wolves. The wolves knew this creature could kill one of them with a single bite. A harsh, raspy laugh echoed in the wind. The ancestral Ice Age hyena, larger than modern hyenas, with the strongest jaws of any creature in the era. 4 appeared from the front, 2 crept in from behind. They feared neither wolves nor the lion. They only feared hunger. When hyenas arrived, the air grew violently tense. Wind swept across the snow, whistling like frozen steel. Wolves grouped together, ready to attack as a coordinated unit. The lion stood alone, full of pride and ferocity. The hyenas split into 2 teams, one to distract, one ready to rush from the flank. All 3 species knew the first attacker gets injured the fastest. The last attacker has the best chance to steal the prize. A deadly equilibrium. Without waiting any longer, the cave lion let out a low growl, then lunged at the mammoth carcass, using its massive body to force the wolves back. It sank its teeth into the soft belly. Blood splattered across its golden fur. The wolves snarled. The hyenas began to shift positions. The battle officially began. 6 wolves attacked head-on, but never at a single point. They snapped at its legs, pulled its tail, bit into its flanks, forcing the lion to turn constantly. This was the strategy. Never let the enemy face you fully. But the lion was not easily overwhelmed. Whap! A paw swipe cut across the air. A wolf rolled across the snow, not dead, but stunned. The lion used the moment to dash left, splitting the wolves into 2 scattered groups. This was the classic strategy of large felines: divide, then eliminate. And just then, true to their nature as tactical opportunists, the hyenas did not charge the lion first. They rushed at the disorganized wolves, unleashing the horrifying strength of their jaws. A wolf was cut off, and a hyena clamped onto its hindquarter, pulling it down into the snow. Its sharp howl pierced the ice-cold air. The lion turned back, but he knew this wasn't a battle he needed to help in. He only needed the others to grow weaker. Wolves and hyenas fought. The lion ate, defended, and watched for openings. One wolf group returned to attack the lion again. Another pushed the hyenas back. The battlefield erupted into growls, howls, hissing breaths, snow exploding under claws and paws. Under the moonlight, the three species formed a chaotic yet perfectly natural dance of survival. The lion took a bite to the hind leg. Not deep, but enough to convince him not to take on both groups at once. He growled a warning and backed toward the forest. The wolves, exhausted after the chaotic skirmish, had lost too much strength to hold the carcass against the jaw-powered monsters that were the hyenas. They retreated in formation, eyes still locked on the scene. The hyenas, at last, recognized the moment had come. They claimed the mammoth carcass and began to feed in the brutal cold wind. Night fell silent again, but the battle had etched itself into the snow with blood, tracks, and exhaustion. There were no heroes, only survivors. The strongest wasn't the first to arrive, but the last one standing. 3 species, 3 strategies: ice lion, power and killing blows; snow wolves, coordination and flanking tactics; ancient hyenas, endurance and striking when enemies weaken. In the Ice Age, a single meal was a full-scale war, and the victor was not the strongest species, but the one that waited for the perfect moment. Fog spilled across the grassland like a massive blanket stretching over the earth. The air was drained of moisture, cold and thick. Within that fog, a deep, heavy sound echoed. It was the call of a woolly rhinoceros, marking its territory with pressurized bursts from its nose. Another silhouette appeared in the distance, blurred, massive, but unmistakably moving forward without fear. 2 giants of the Ice Age were preparing to clash in the most dangerous battlefield imaginable. A rhino cannot see more than 8 to 10 meters in fog. They rely on the sound of the opponent's footsteps, vibrations traveling through the ground, hot breath, the location of body scent. But do not be mistaken. That doesn't make them weaker. It makes the fight far more brutal because there is no time to react with vision. Unlike bison, unlike the megaglaciers, rhinos do not wrestle. They simply lower their heads, load power into their hind legs, aim the horn at the opponent's chest shoulder, and charge like an ice storm. The battle begins half a second after they hear each other breathe. The 2 charge. Boom! The fog rippled like the surface of the sea. Snow exploded beneath their feet. A circular clearing appeared in the mist right where they collided. The impact was so powerful, one rhino was shoved back 2 meters, leaving a long groove carved into the snow. A rhino's horn is not just a weapon. It is a second spine, built to absorb massive force and transmit it instantly. Rhinos don't only strike straight. They have a devastating technique, a sideways horn sweep. Because in fog, no one knows the exact position of the opponent. This attack lands more easily than usual. One rhino twisted its neck sharply, the horn slicing sideways like a scythe. This move can tear through thick hide, knock the opponent off balance, cause deep bleeding. And indeed, a red gash appeared on the other rhino's shoulder. Steam rose from the blood in the freezing air, forming a faint red mist. The injured rhino did not retreat. A rhino's instinct. If you lose your territory. Lose territory. Lose food sources, die. So it charged again. No thinking, no calculating, only primeval survival. The second charge erupted with a heavy boom, like slabs of stone slamming together. As the two continued to twist, push, ram, the snow beneath them was scraped away, revealing a layer of hard, slippery ice. This was the most dangerous moment. One rhino slipped. In a rhino battle, a slip equals almost certain death. The other instantly rammed its opponent's shoulder. The slipping rhino toppled sideways, its massive body crashing into the snow with a deep, avalanche-like thud. Even while falling, it sprang back to its feet in just 1 second, swinging its head fiercely to force the other rhino back. Both of them panted heavily, their hot breaths rising and swirling into white vapor around their heads. The sight looked like two warriors wrapped in clouds of steam facing each other amid a frozen dusk. Fog rolled down from the valley, heavier than before. Within seconds, neither rhino could see the other, despite standing less than 4 meters apart. Survival instinct forced them to stand still, listen, stop attacking. Because in this suffocating fog, one misdirected charge could send them plunging straight into the snow cliffs nearby. At last, each rhino retreated in a different direction, vanishing into the white void. There was no victor, only those who did not die. Limited vision turns the fight into pure instinct. A horn strike can pierce even thick hide. A slip on ice can mean death nature. The fog is the referee that decides the outcome. The Ice Age was not merely cold. It was a place where nature decided who was allowed to fight and who must stop in order to survive. A gentle wind swept across the high snowdrifts, drawing soft white waves across the ground. A snow fox was hunting an ice rabbit, its sharp ears standing tall, its padded feet gliding so lightly they left no trace. Just a few meters away, an ice rabbit was digging through the snow in search of moss. The fox crept closer, slow, steady, silent. But from the sky, a massive shadow appeared. An Ice Age eagle with a wingspan over 2.5 meters, talons curved and long like hooked blades. Both predators saw the rabbit and saw each other. The battle began in the very first heartbeat. The eagle folded its wings halfway. The air screamed. It dove at over 150 kilometers per hour, aimed directly at the ice rabbit. The snow beneath the rabbit trembled from the pressure in the air. The snow fox reacted instantly. If it sprinted straight toward the rabbit, the eagle's talons would tear it apart mid-air. Instead, it ran in a wide arc to the left, kept a safe distance, prepared to leap the moment the eagle missed. This is the fox's signature tactic. Don't block the opponent. Steal the opportunity after the strike. Whoosh! 2 razor talons slammed into the snow. The ice rabbit leapt at the very last second, snow bursting beneath the eagle's strike. But the rabbit escaped. The eagle hit the ground hard, its wings flaring wide and scattering snow in a white halo. The fox had waited for exactly this second. The fox lunged upward, snapping at the joint where wing meets body. Why? The eagle's head is fast and deadly. The eagle's body is heavily feathered, but the base of the wing is vulnerable if the eagle can't fly. The battle changes completely. The eagle wrenched its wing violently, flinging the fox across the snow. The two spun in a flurry of white powder. The ice rabbit managed to run a few meters, but the fight wasn't over. The eagle slammed its wings against the ground. A blast of snow shot upward, blinding the fox. The fox lost orientation for 1 second, just enough for the eagle to strike again. A talon raked across the fox's back, pulling out a long strip of white fur. The fox yelped in pain, but did not fall. Its thick winter coat had saved it. It backed up, lowered its head, and prepared for the next counterattack. The fox ran in a crescent arc. The eagle assumed the fox had given up and turned its body toward the rabbit. In that exact moment, the fox shifted direction sharply, leaping straight at the eagle's legs. The eagle couldn't turn in time. The bite landed on its right leg, throwing the eagle off balance. As it spread its wings to recover, a gust of wind swept across the hill, tilting the eagle's posture even more. The fox seized the opening, slipped past the eagle, and snatched the ice rabbit in a single bound. The eagle, furious and exhausted from repeated dives, let out a high, piercing screech circling overhead, but did not strike again. Its long wings were heavy with snow, and its leg throbbed from the bite. The fox clutched the rabbit tight to its chest, backing into the snowy hill, its ears still angled upward in caution. It won not because it was stronger, but because it was faster, smarter, and knew how to use the wind at the perfect moment. Speed doesn't come from the largest body. Intelligence decides the victor. Every battle is a strategy problem. The Ice Age wasn't only about giant clashes. Even the smallest creatures fought with every shred of instinct, because every meal was a piece of survival itself. The sky was lead grey. Snow fell softly like powdered dust. In places, the ground revealed patches of pale green moss, a sign of a life-saving food source. 2 horse herds, each about 20 to 30 strong, spotted each other from afar. One herd from the north, led by an enormous, powerful stallion. Its mane stood tall, its white breath rising in steady bursts. One herd from the south, led by a young but fierce stallion, fast, bold, and undefeated. As both herds approached the meadow, neither yielded even half a step. In the Ice Age, winter grasslands were gold, were life, were a reason to fight. Unlike predators or solitary beasts, horses fight with organized structure. Both herds reached the edge of the meadow and formed 2 lines. The front row of the strongest stallions, the second row of adult mares, the last row shielding the foals. They did not rush in. They displayed strength, waiting for a signal from their leaders. This was a true collective battle. The lead stallion neighed, a deep, wide sound echoing far across the cold air. White breath rose like a column. Its mane bristled. Its front hooves stomped the snow so hard that powder burst upward. It declared, "This is my grassland. If you want to feed, win against me." The southern herd answered with a sharp, higher-pitched neigh, the voice of youthful excitement. The battle officially began. The herds did not charge all at once. They let the 2 leaders clash first. The older stallion stepped forward with steady, deliberate weight. Large body, broad chest, thick neck muscles, calm eyes. The young stallion moved with shimmer and energy, quick and relentless, its front hooves occasionally hopping from sheer pent-up power. The wind carried the scent of snow and their heavy breaths. Not headbutts, not bites. Horses open with rear kicks. The young stallion spun with blinding speed and unleashed a double hind kick at its opponent's shoulder. Thudf! The force was so strong snow exploded upward like white dust. The seasoned stallion absorbed the blow, but staggered half a step back. Youth had power, clearly. It did not counterkick immediately. Instead, it sidestepped left, slid close along the opponent's flank, and delivered a near-range kick. This strike caught the young stallion off guard, landing in a blind spot horses cannot see. The young one tilted to the side, slamming its hooves into the snow to regain balance. Both herds behind them neighed in unison, riled up by the tension. This next move was rare, used only in fights of true seriousness. The young stallion reared up and bit into the thick fur at the back of the older stallion's neck. The dense mane kept it from sinking in deeply, but the bite caused pain and imbalance. The older stallion grunted, digging its hooves into the ground to avoid being shoved back. This was the turning point. When the two leaders clashed for the fourth time, the herd behind them lost patience. Mares began circling, younger stallions surged forward, and the front lines of both herds spiraled into a war circle. Snow burst everywhere, blinding. Hooves pounded the earth like war drums. They, bitted shoulders kicked sideways, shoved with chests twined around each other in rotating chaos. It was no longer a duel between two individuals, but a clash between two societies. Within the swirling chaos, the older stallion found an opening. It angled its body, lowered its center of gravity, and slammed its shoulder hard into its rival's flank. The young stallion slipped, a deadly misstep for a horse. It crashed into the snow, legs scrambling for footing. 1 second was all it took. The old stallion neighed triumphantly, standing sentinel before the opposing herd, declaring dominance. The southern herd understood they had lost with honor. They slowly withdrew from the meadow, not fleeing, but leaving in silence. Not chaotic fighting, but rules, leadership, formation, combat through speed, reflexes, and intelligence. Winter grasslands determined the survival of an entire herd. In the Ice Age, battle did not belong solely to predators. Even herbivores were warriors, and territory made them as fierce as any hunter.